Hello and welcome to In Conversation with WLV Doctoral College. Today I'm talking to Professor Silke Machold, who is the Dean of Research at the University of Wolverhampton. Silke, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do at the university?
Thank you, Deborah. So yes, as Deborah has just mentioned, my name is Silke. I'm the Dean of Research, which means I have overall strategic responsibility for research at the University of Wolverhampton. So what does that actually mean? Well, I have responsible to lead on the development of our institutional research strategy, but obviously this is not something I do on my own. This is something that happens in consultation with colleagues across the university. Development of research policy, external returns. So for research, it's really important that we get funded, and a large part of our funding comes from what is called quality research funding, QR funding, which is determined based on the results of periodic national research assessments, so responsibility for that. I head the Central Research Department, which has two units within it. One is the Doctoral College, where Deborah works in, and the other one is Research Services, which is more focused on the sort of systems processes for staff. Doctoral College is more focused around development, research environment for research students and staff. So that's a little bit about my role, a little bit.
Thank you, Silke. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey from your PhD to where you are now?
Yes, so I did my PhD in the 1990s. It was on political economy of small firm policy in Russia and Hungary. So at the time I was in what was European School of Languages and European Studies, and I was part in the European Studies, part in the Russian Studies department. And these were really popular subjects to study in the 1990s, because we'd just seen the end of the Cold War, the fall of the Berlin Wall, the transition in Eastern Europe to democracy and market-based economies. But towards the end 1990s, this was sort of waning in interest, and the departments were actually much reduced. In Russian studies was in fact closed down. So whilst I was doing my PhD, the department really shrank, but I was really privileged to work with some fabulous people, and I had a number of part-time jobs to basically support myself, which is something I also see with our PhD students today. So I did some language teaching as a language assistant, because I'm German by background, and I really couldn't do that these days anymore, because my German is so bad nowadays. But I did then, and I did some visiting lecturing, but the opportunities were really getting smaller because of the decline of the subject area. So when I finished my PhD, there was an opportunity for jobs in the business school in international business, and I applied for it, and that was my first full-time permanent job in the business school. Then a few years after that, there was an opportunity to apply to be head of department, so I did that for a while. Department for strategy then in the business school. I then applied for a readership, so moving from a management position, I moved into what was a much more research-focused position. I first co-led and later led the Management Research Center in the business school, was responsible for a ref submission, and then later was lucky enough to get promoted to a professorship. And then most recently becoming Dean of Research when an opportunity arose to apply for that post. So I've been at Wolverhampton all of my career, and Wolverhampton has really been a wonderful, wonderful place to work, and especially because it really chimes with my own values, with my own beliefs around giving people opportunities to help people that are perhaps first in the family to academia, as I am, and to really support a diversity of career paths, to include people from a range of backgrounds in a variety of career paths, I think for me is something really important.
Thank you for that, Silke. So is there anything that you wish you'd known at the beginning of your career that you now know that would have helped you along the way?
A lot of things, as you may imagine. If I think that you had similar experience being first in the family to university, and coming from East Germany, especially, there were lots of unwritten rules that I did not understand, starting from the sort of class system, the elite system, the ranking system of universities, which I find actually quite difficult to understand and navigate in the first instance. The same when it comes to research. I was invited the other day by the Women's Staff Network to do an event, and I was recounting my experience with my first peer-reviewed article, where I almost felt like giving up, because the feedback was not only so disheartening in the sense of, it felt as if my entire endeavor was being invalidated through the peer review, but it was also so personal. And research is something we take very personal. And I wished I had known then at the time how to deal with that better than I did, which would have probably saved me a lot of anxiety and really sort of damages your belief in yourself, which was never great in the first instance, because many of us suffer from imposter syndrome. So I wished I'd known that. I think I also wished I'd known more about the variety of career paths open to researchers. I think when I did my PhD, there was an assumption that, yes, you had to go into academia. And whilst I love academia, especially because we can combine so many different activities, I genuinely wished I had known about other career paths. The other thing, when I did my PhD, there was very little in the way of support and development activities. From methodology, I was virtually self-taught on methodology, and only later in life did I benefit from being able to formally go to trainings on, for example, statistical analysis. To how do you present conference papers and such like. So I guess that sort of knowledge around how to navigate both the academic landscape, acquire the academic and research skills, as well as the sort of wider skills. I wished I'd known about that.
Thank you. Like you, I studied my PhD at Wolverhampton around the same time, so I totally agree with that last point as well. So this brings us on to my last question. What advice would you give to PhD students and early career researchers?
the main one is you're not alone. It can really feel like that because the PhD, at least in the UK, is this sort of solitary journey that, okay, you have a supervisory team, but most of the time you kind of feel a bit left to your own devices, but you needn't be. So there are, first of all, other PhD students, and I was very, very lucky that I had a great peer group when I was doing my PhD, and we had a researchers room, and there are researchers room nowadays for students, and it was really our safe space to support each other, to explore issues around our PhDs, to help others when we were getting stuck. So your peers are a great support mechanism. There are also your supervisory team. I think it's really important to get the tone right with your supervisory team, and it's not always easy because you shouldn't rely on them to tell you everything, because at the end of the day it's your PhD that you're doing, and you're becoming an independent researcher, and you need to really take that opportunity to develop yourself. But how do you navigate that when there is this sort of power relationship, even if it is maybe only constructed by yourself? So it's finding the right relationship with your supervisor that is constructive, challenging, and it allows you to flourish as an independent researcher. And then take advantage of other opportunities. So I think the doctoral college is a really fabulous resource in the university in terms of the range of development opportunities that are provided. So go to them, because you meet other researchers, you listen to other stories, you get help, support that you can avail yourself of, and various other networks in the university. So alongside the doctoral college, we're also really privileged to have a fabulous doctoral student society. They've won various awards, and that sort of mixture between, you know, the work where you can get support with your research and having that social dimension is, I think, also really important, because you need to look after your own mental health and well-being, and the social side is so important to that. So, sorry, there are more than one suggestion.
And do you have any tips for early career researchers?
Those would probably be the same as I would give to PGR students, and also even more developed researchers. I mean, my mentors, who've been hugely instrumental in my career, they have unfortunately moved on, and the last one has just retired. So I am now thinking, oh, I am really missing that. So at no stage in your career are you too experienced, too old, too whatever, to not benefit from having a mentor, a coach, a constructive friend that you can use as a sounding board, and that can give you advice and put you on the right track at times.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. My mentor is the reason why I made applications for associate professorship in the first place. Would never have thought of it. So I totally agree with you. So thank you, Silke. That's been really, really enlightening, and there's lots of really useful information there. So thank you for listening. As always, if you've got any ideas about topics that we could cover in these vlogs, do please put them in the comments below. And while you're there, please do subscribe and press the bell so that you'll know when we're uploading a new video. We usually upload videos every Friday at 10 o'clock, so look out for more videos from us. Thank you for listening, and bye.
Thank you, Deborah. Bye.